With each passing day, more converge upon Earth. Pilgrims of fate. Some already arrived. Others still walking paths they do not yet understand. This gathering intrigues me. They exist in the space between heaven and hell. Their choices now will carve the shape of their eternity. But do they truly know what they are? What forces stir beneath their feet while they play their part on the board? Pawns, perhaps. Or something far more significant. Death lingers near. Yet the dead do not rest. Their whispers grow louder. Their stories claw to the surface. Deeds once buried in shadow now stray for the light. These saints, these sinners, they are unlike any I've seen. Complex, flawed, powerful. Some barely cling to their soul. Others shine so brightly, I dare not look away. They have been chosen for what lies ahead, and nothing in this world or the next will ever be the same. I must watch them. For within this fractured group lies the thread to a mystery far greater than they can fathom. And soon, it will unravel.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to episode number 72 of Rip The Silverback. We are live, and we got a bunch of stuffs to discuss today. And I'm really excited about all of it, but I'm joined by my co-host, Silverback himself. Man, what's going on, ass?
Oh, dude, I'm good. Day 9, Saints and Sinners.
Yes.
Or just finished. We're into day 10, but it's day 9 done. This is day 10 or something. And my God, it's less than 10K from, well, less than 5K. Never mind 10. Less than 5K from 200,000. And we are over 5,500 books sold. Let's fucking go. Which means Milestone 2 is already this, if it was a cover, it would be cover C, because it's already in the sniper's sights.
Right. And yeah, I am going to pull this up here in a bit. I'm actually getting all that stuff set up. So, as you all know, once we hit the just as a quick update, once we hit that 5,000 mark that we already hit, we had talked about giving you guys a hardcover that would depict the covers or the stories by myself and the Sasuke. Since we don't have a cover that represents those stories, we'll do a hardcover with it. And we're getting that thing ready. So soon enough, you will have access to that, and you'll be able to purchase that in the Saints and Sinners store. Okay, let me get ready.
Which will, guys, when you get that, that will prepare you to Milestone 2, which will release the concept art book, which then, when you get that, will propel you to Milestone 3.
This is correct. All is correct. So go grab right now. There it is. Saints and Sinners over at riververse.com. See, shout out to the mods. Already got everything pinned up there because I didn't do that. So big shout out to y'all. Appreciate it. But yes, Of course, it features stories from As Here, as well as Critical Drinker, Mauler, Jay, aka Drunk 3PO, the Saskas, and myself. We have some great artists that are on this. Dio, who did Az's book. We have Chris Bolson, Elias Martin. So this is the first time that I got to work with him on the Way to Restraint story. And of course, Will freaking Conrad and Cliff Richards, who is one of the ISOM artists, of course. And this is his first story that he's doing that I didn't write for the Rippaverse. So he's doing the Saska story with the underdog. So big shout out to Cliff. Again, Will Conrad, one of the best in the business. He is the artist for Bone God. So yes, almost $200,000 in total sales, 5,500 books sold. We hit that milestone before. We hit that milestone before actually the show. So yeah, like it was today though. It was today when we hit 5,500 because I remember the graphic and stuff going up. So yes, go grab that. We got that 5th deck of the cards. Go grab those as well. We got shirts, poster, and of course the 5 covers as well. You can also get caught up on some of those decks if you need to as well. So yes, really, really excited about this story. The theme, obviously collaborating with some of my bros here has been wonderful. That you get to see their creative chops. I think that's what it's all about. So thanks to all of y'all that, of course, collaborated with us on this project because, man, we're let's just say we're really, really excited. Okay, that said, yeah,
Wait, yeah. Go back. Scroll down to the milestones.
Oh yeah, we can talk milestones.
Right, remember, I don't want to blow my own trumpet, Eric. That's a lie. I fucking love doing that. But the hardcover was kind of my idea. Not the hardcover itself, but the idea was hit a milestone and get the 2 people whose art isn't being featured on a cover. Right?
You said that. Yep.
So we got the concept art for 250. Great. I think it's a great idea. Cover reveals for 3 books, 350. That's fine. That's great. 500,000 new announcement. New announcement. Yeah. It's vague. It's nebulous. Yeah?
Purpose.
Okay. Hear me out.
Mm-hmm.
Hear me out.
Okay.
750,000.
Okay.
Cover E, the anthology cover, gets converted to a foil cover.
We haven't got it printed yet. So I mean, I guess technically that could be done. That'd be interesting. That's something that I go back to my team with because we haven't green lit this. So we have I had some decisions that I've had to make over the last few days. So let's just say our print process has been adjusted, and that's
some fun things have been happening by the looks of it.
Yeah, some great fun things actually. But yeah, we once we get there, the first book I guess that you guys are gonna see with that, it'd be Zaylen with this new process. But yeah, well, I bring that up to say that we have options now. So I'll have to ponder on that. You put that on my mind.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, go get that. We got the concept art book that it will be at it's gonna be 250K, and we of course have 5,000, which we already got unlocked. I can't wait to show y'all some of these other covers as well. Should we hit that? So go grab Saints and Sinners right now in the store at rippaverse.com. Also pinned. We are also entering into our final week next week, or actually in a couple of days, Friday, a week from Friday. The Horseman #1 will be closing down then, so go grab that. If you have not, over $330,000 in total sales, and of course,
Yaira. Horseman, we're coming for you, Hassan Piker.
We got Yaira 3, of course. Hit that $6,000 mark as well, so go pre-order that. It's right there in the store for you. Rippaverse.com. Go grabs all of.
We're coming for you, Yaira, as well.
The all of the stuff. So yeah. Okay. I want to address this just really quick. Someone brought this up because there's a lot of misinformation. I don't even like using that term, but I guess this is a definitive way to address it. But So excited. I'm saying, send him serious. What's up with toothpaste spreads? Why does this keep happening? First of all, we've never had a toothpaste spread issue. That's never happened. This issue that happened with Zaylen, the recent Zaylen run, is the first time that has ever happened with us. That said, we've made some adjustments because, as I mentioned in my video, a lot of issues when you're dealing with like pre-press and print stuff, that stuff never makes it to the customer for the most part. But I was pretty transparent about I'm over it. So we made some overhaul. Let's say we made a major overhaul over there on that. Now you might be referring to Blood Ruth, but Blood Ruth was a completely different thing, and that had nothing to do with like an issue. Like that was Blood was print was perfect. It was the way it's intended. As far as the physical print, this was more so a pre-press and print binding issue actually. As far as Zaylen. So this isn't a keep happening situation. Just want to correct that. Keep happening. That's the first time we've ever had that issue, and it doesn't just impact one spread or double page. No, this impacts the entire book.
Yeah, not wrong criticism or questioning, but just be fair.
Yeah.
No need to embellish.
Yeah. Well, no. I'm not saying that. I just we want that corrected because what happens is, for the sake of our team, I want to make sure that we're accountable, right? That's why it's very important to make sure that record is corrected, because this isn't an editorial issue, right? So I don't want people going at the Saskas or going at Carol or Andrew or anybody, as if they failed at their jobs with this regards, because that had nothing to do with this. So no, that this wasn't, again, so when I say it wasn't a keep happening situation, I think there may be some confusion because there have been people that, of course, people are going to say whatever they want to say about whatever that we have to do. But let's say guys with the best intentions are misassessing what actually took place. And it's easy to pick up on that and think that's actually what happened. But what happened with Zaylen is totally different from the non-issue with Blood Ruth, because what happened with Zaylen impacted the entire book. As far as it's not even an alignment issue, it's a print and binding issue that happened that should have been caught nonetheless by us. It was something that was flagged by our editors. I want to give them props, because I remember the Saskas actually brought this up when we first got the proofs, and they were like, you know what, it's not being addressed. We were assured that it was okay. It turns out that it wasn't. So yeah, there has been a complete overhaul. You'll watch my two last videos. There's been a complete overhaul of our pre-press and printing department, if you will. And I had some decisions, as I mentioned, that I had to make there. And we're going to improve. Our process is already starting to improve there, because I find that to be rather unacceptable that that something like that even slips through the cracks, because whoever's fault that it is, it's the same to the customer. This is the argument that I was making. Well, not necessarily an argument, but this was the position that I was taking with the video that I did, because to the customers, it's the same thing. Who in the process dropped the ball is totally irrelevant to that. But yeah, it's something that is we were made note of, and we were like, oh snaps, this is something that impacted all of our books. And yeah, we remedied that. You got the email 60% off. You can also get a full refund if that's something that you want as well. You can't buy Zaylen, unfortunately, in the store right now until we get this thing situated. And then we'll put it back up for sale, and you'll be fine to go there should you do that. But yeah, also want to clarify, because I don't think I mentioned this in the video. I wasn't really direct with it, because some people are like, well, that was my book and it was fine. The type of issue that it is, it varies on. It's an issue that impacts each book, but to what degree varies in each book. If you know what bleeds are, you'll understand that. So there will be books that are out there that people get that are just perfect. Like it looks perfect, right? The issue is technically still there going into the binding, but it's still like it's not as noticeable. And then others will have it be far more noticeable. So I know there's been some confusion on that. Like, did it just impact the a couple of copies? Like, no, just with bleeds, each print is technically different. If you understand how printing works, and that's why some seem to align perfectly, and others are like hit or miss, I guess, if you want to say that. So yes, there was some shaking and moving that needed to be done. And yeah, that's all I can really say in that regards. But do know that we are going to improve on that, and we've already put some things in motion there. So yeah, appreciate that. All right. So as far as today, I want to start off with this. Actually, I want to throw a curveball in it because this was an interesting thing that happened out of the whole Fortnite.
I only found out about this yesterday, man. It was hilarious.
Yeah, and I saw like a bunch of videos. It kind of showed rather a compilation of this type of stuff, like crazy things being said. Okay. Now I do think Polygon's fucking hilarious because I mean, look at the subtitle. If a conservative company like Disney
What?
is interesting use of words, is experimenting with video game. Yeah,
What part of Disney's conservative? The fucking entertainment in terms of providing it. We're going to be very conservative on the amount of good entertainment we're putting out.
Again, interesting use of lingo there. If you will.
It's retarded. It's not interesting. It's fuck. Patricia is a fucking retard. It's not just dishonest. It's just fucking retarded.
Yeah.
Because you don't even need liberal or anything. It doesn't need to even be in that sentence.
That's true. That is true.
If Disney is experimenting with video game AI, other developers will surely follow.
Yeah, that could have been it.
That's the byline.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But trying to attach some sort of political... Shut the fuck up, you dumb... This is why you get fucking $20 a fucking week to buy your fucking cat litter and your ramen noodles, you fucking Egypt.
But the reason why I wanted to talk about this, because obviously this is them experimenting with that. I know it's been mixed reviews in terms of just the idea of doing it, though I do believe James signed off on this. A lot of people that think this is kind of in poor taste as far as how the voice is being used here. I don't really necessarily want to debate or have an open discussion about that, although I'm willing to. What I really more so want to talk about is this
How
bit here.
based he is? Oh, sorry, go on.
Well, he was saying some interesting things there. That's for sure. But what is true is for sure that devs are going to look at this, or more publishers are going to look at this and having their devs do it and implementing this in the process. Okay. Now, as far as AI. Now, my question, and I asked this question to the chat, I asked this to this is mixed because it's a harsh reality in that with the implementation of this, yes, it does mean that jobs per se that would have existed prior to, and I want to be completely honest about that because I do think there's some people that look at this a little glass half full, which is great. I don't think you should be a black pill about it, but we also should be honest. This isn't like a case of where you're coming out on the other side of this without job loss. No, there will be 1000% if this is to take hold, as with any entertainment industry, where people are able to basically use the AI, definitely in a prompt setting, to be able to do a particular task that was performed by a person or groups of people. Yes, as this technology advances, as they figure out how to creatively utilize this, 1000%, that means that, yes, those jobs on net, those jobs that were there before are not going to be there. That said, I do wonder, because from a creative standpoint, if you're like, okay, I'm trying to get into this industry, you may have an issue with it, right? It's the same thing that's happening right now in more of the Hollywood circle and what they have been debating and everything, because it's all a job protection thing. And creatives don't like it. I think because customers are a lot more open to that idea, because they look at it from the standpoint of, well, if this means I'm going to get a better experience, I don't care. But do you think there is any way that AI in gaming and the gaming space, let's keep it unique to there, could be used in a more I won't say more, but do you think there is a tasteful way, or do you think that either way there's gonna be some people that are gonna be rubbed the wrong way with this usage?
Some people are always going to be rubbed the wrong way with usage because, regardless of whether or not you sit in pro AI or negative AI, the simple fact of the matter is that the AI wouldn't exist with people who've created what's come before. So it's not as if AI can create anything new. It can only extrapolate data
Right.
and convert that extrapolated data. You need to have those creative people that has made this stuff that's allowing the AI to extrapolate it and put out whatever it's going to put out. I personally would all day, every day, rather have the art of a human being, the art of a somebody that is physically created, either a picture, a painting, or a piece of written work.
Right.
Because that has come from the soul of a human and not the soullessness of AI. AI is exceedingly cynical in its core, because it cannot exist without creativity, and it will be the death of creativity. And that's the irony. It's literally the Ouroboros. It will eat itself, and you'll just get a generic stream. It will just turn to a generic stream. You can utilize it. It's like most things. CGI should be utilized as a tool, not a crutch. We've seen the best. They say that the best films are where you don't even know there's CGI involved, and that is when CGI is used cleverly in terms of environment and stuff like that. So it looks like the environment that the people are in is legitimately organic. When you start to get into really expansive stuff, sci-fi and whatever, if you want to create the CGI to make it look like these fantasy worlds are legitimate, then you need to throw shit at it. It's not a cheap process, but they want it to be a cheap process. So now we have volume and stuff like that, and volume looks cheap. It looks fake. It looks like nobody's fucking there anymore, and it's relied upon far too much. Recently, it all came out that the suits that they're wearing, the time travel suits in Endgame, it's all CGI. All of those suits are CGI. You could have saved a fortune by just making practical suits for those actors. Why couldn't you just make practical suits for those actors? It's insane. So when it becomes no longer becomes a tool to be utilized to enhance, when it starts to overpower everything, you lose. You lose the soul. You lose everything about it. It will never be used as a tool. It will start off maybe as a tool, and then it will be used. The irony is this is coming from an article where AI is going to take over this fucking Egypt's job.
Not wrong.
And no, that's just a fact.
Well,
because the AI is going to be taught to just churn out these articles. And this is, again, another reason why these sites are dead. Polygon's dead. Kotaku's dead. They're all being sold off. They're all being trimmed. All the fat's going. The people are all going. But nobody's going to be fucking there to look at an algorithmic hate bait. No. What happens? The people who once upon a time would have gone to these sites, they're going to turn up, they're going to watch you, they're going to watch me, they're going to watch Drinker, they're going to watch Nerdrotic, they're going to watch Geeks and Gamers, etc. They're going to want to see the person. They're going to want to connect to that fucking person. They want that reality. They don't want the fake. They don't want the phony. As Robert Meyer Burnett said, authenticity is the currency of tomorrow. AI is the absolute antithesis of authenticity because it has to take from everything. So, do you think a game like what's it called? Oh my God, Expedition 33. Do you think a game like Expedition 33 and how they created that and the story and the emotion and the heart and it was a game where I felt I was getting fucking PTSD myself. Do you think an AI is in any way going to take that? No, that was a core group of people, a small core group of people with a very specific idea. Bigger companies like Disney, bigger companies will use AI as an effort to cost cut. It's not.
I said this. I saw a lot of people when I brought this up in my AI video. A lot of people thought I was wrong.
No.
on that. I specifically brought that up, guys. If you remember the video that I did on this, that I think most people, obviously, it's on my channel, so whatever, 90 plus, 99% will like, right, whatever. But it did. Some people felt some kind of way because I was offering some really harsh realities there, and I talked about how I don't think that AI is the great liberator that I think some people think that it is, because I do believe that if we're talking just scale alone and its usage, the bigger companies have the advantage there, and they're gonna lean on it, right? Like for 1000% to again cut costs, right? So yeah, it's not. I thought that a lot of the tech bros and they got mad. Those are the guys that got mad at me because they're more on the pro AI side. Where I was like, I think you're kidding yourselves if you are making the argument that it's democratizing art. Like I just don't think that's what's happening here, because you're pretending as if the bigger companies also would not only have access to it, but they're going to be first on the cutting edge of it. Like, as far as its technological advancements, like I don't know if you guys saw, was it last night with this new shit that with Google's AI and how advanced this video shit is. Like, those guys are the ones that are going to be on the cutting edge in front of it, and the bigger companies that are like, I guess, entertainment houses, they're going to be the ones that are going to be best suited to use this stuff at scale. So I don't think it's a democratizer at all. I just think that it just is. And so it does make for an interesting conversation, because it's like, well, if we're talking just on a generative sense, is there at all like a tasteful way? This is what I do think. I do think from the customer perspective, they'll be a lot more receptive to its usage. I think in gaming, a lot more, just because of all the technology that's involved in it, a lot more. Not saying everybody's going to be okay with it, especially those that aspire to work in it. I don't think they're going to be okay with it at all. But as far as the customers are concerned, I think they will be a lot more open to its usage there, for better or worse, right? Because like I said, the big companies, like they're trying things out right now. And I do wonder though, if there is at all a tasteful way that the customer would see, and they'd be like, well, okay, it's being used in this way or in this setting is more, I guess people will be like, oh, that's okay, in comparison maybe to some of the others where they're like, no, that should never be done. Why the fuck would you do that? Right. Is, I guess, what I'm trying to figure out. And I don't really know the answer to that, but to put myself like on the line, because I know I just asked you this question, I do believe there will be like certain like assets in some capacity, especially like in like the RPG realm. Like if you're talking about like, let's say, generating a unique experience for that gamer, right? To where like if Ass plays the game and I play the game, I get a different experience. I can see AI being used, especially in that case, if let's say some voice actor licensed their voice off to create unique dialogue, right? Maybe it's saying the character's name instead of calling them the Watcher or whatever the fuck they call them by their actual name, because, well, they were able to generate unique dialogue, NPC dialogue, right? In regards to that as well.
Why can't a human write that?
No, they can. I'm not saying that they can't write that. What I'm saying is, and shout out, we just got rated, by the way, from Gary. We're having a great conversation talking about AI and gaming. Shout out to.
Yeah, but the thing is, right. As a gamer, are you wanting dialogue that's been created algorithmically, or are you wanting dialogue which has been created by a human?
I would prefer the latter, but again, like I'm trying to be more fair to this question, because I don't know if my position on that, or our position on that, is the position, if that makes sense, right? So
well, how does writing improve when you take the writing away from people?
Well, I don't think that's what'll happen. Well, in some people's cases, I guess if you're comparing it to dog shit, people are going to be like,
I mean, today, I think there's no denying that the writing of TV and films is
it's
gone down terribly.
Yeah.
And you just have to watch something from 20 years ago and you're like, fucking hell.
Mm-hmm.
This dialogue's amazing. It's streets ahead of everything we got now. Because people are being, particularly in the West, people are being hired based off not the correct criteria.
Right.
And so what you're doing is you're compounding a problem, because you're having people who aren't qualified to do the roles that they're doing, and then you're looking for solutions to replace them instead of getting the right fucking people involved.
Not wrong. Not wrong.
You know what? We could create this solution by bringing in AI.
Right.
And that will solve that. We'll program it, blah, 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 blah. So what you're doing is you brought the wrong people on in the whole fucking process, because you got to tick your boxes. You got to get your DEI in, your ESG in. You got to get your funded money. The funded money is now drying up because the funded money isn't yielding rewards, because you haven't had the right people. You haven't hit the right demographics. You've turned your back on it. You've created an adversarial relationship between corporation and customer, because you're a bunch of fucking absolute fucking retards. And then you go, do you know how we're going to correct this? We're going to fucking bring in AI, which is going to take all of these fucking people's jobs away. Meanwhile, all of the writers are now fucking gone. All of the fucking creativity is out the fucking window. And then what happens? You're left with some soulless fucking husk sat at a screen that's dealing with a soulless fucking husk.
Yeah. That's
not how I want to take my fucking.
And I agree. Like, I'm with you 1000%. You know, the only thing that I worry about is, like I said, is that position. You know, the position, because this is what's happening in comics, right? Just as an example, as this technology advances, I know that we in my audience, you know, I've talked about how with us we've committed to, obviously, we don't use generative, not using generative AI. And trying to sniff that out, because some slips through the cracks. Some artists used it that shouldn't have. You want to leave room for that. Unfortunately, it may be happening, but it's not anything that we would ever knowingly do. That's not our thing. That said, what you're seeing here is that people are thinking of these ways to utilize that, even in an independent space, to like cut costs. So the same thing a big company would do, essentially the same thing. And the example that I brought up, for example, that video where I was talking about, let's say if you're a creator, you were right, and maybe you even draw, but you're not like good on the colors, and maybe you wanted the AI to do the colors or something like that. And my argument, it's not an argument. It's like, while I might be against that, what I have to leave room for is that, does that even matter to a bulk of the audience, right?
Mm-hmm.
As far as you do that, you put that out there, is that going to be a primary determinant as to whether or not that thing is supported? Because this person, even if they're just open about it, right? Because we see people are more and more open about them using AI in their process in some capacity. Like, what I want to make sure, I think with gaming as well as in any entertainment industry, that we have to be careful with, you know, customers see things different than what maybe creators do. So I as a creator might be against something, and other creators, like people that are in these gigs that are maybe bound to be replaced, may be against it. They may say, no, this is stupid. Why would you do that? It's costing us jobs and yada, yada. But for some customers, and what we've learned in some cases, they're like, I don't care. I don't care. I just want the product. And I showed these videos because Asmon Gold brought that up. He said that, as well as was XQC or whatever his guy's name is, where he literally said, because he was watching some AI thing, he literally said, like, I don't care about the method, I care about the product. And Asmon Gold basically echoed the same exact sentiment. And he's like, yeah, all you creators. He literally said, all of you need to go get in plumbing or something, because all you guys get replaced, talking about all these these artists. And I think that's a harsh thing for someone that's involved in entertainment to want to hear, but it's a reality, for better or worse. that is among us. And I mean, the chips are going to fall where they may. Maybe customers en masse reject it, right? End up rejecting it. I don't know. But it is something that is on the horizon. And with what we just saw with Fortnite, these guys are gonna use it, and they're gonna figure out, if it lands. And if it does land, that's when I think it's gonna get fucking crazy. And scary even for really everybody. Because look, the power's in the customer's hands. And if customers openly are like, I do not care how this thing is produced, because it gives me an experience that I value, it's going to be really scary for a lot of guys.
Are you going to value it? This is the thing, right? Because we are only at the beginning of it. And early doors, everything is exciting. Everything is different. Regardless of how you feel about AI, there could be some projects that are put out that are just like, wow, actually, they utilized AI very well. And it works. But as I said, look at what's happened to CGI. There's worse CGI being created today than it was 20 years ago.
That's a fair point.
Because it becomes a crutch, and it becomes cheap, and it becomes just an easy method, a lazy method for people to do. The path, as game companies always stress themselves, the path of least resistance. Right? So what have we got happening right now? We've got, AI's coming in, and this is going to take away the work of all these people. So just think of all the money that's being saved, right? It's taking the jobs away of all these people. It's going to allow us to produce games quicker. It's going to allow us to produce games cheaper. By the way, we're raising up the price of games by $40.
Yeah, it's not going to land well. Definitely for those that are utilizing those methods.
How does that fucking land? Because I remember 20 fucking years ago when the digital age started to arrive, and there was DLC that started to be produced. And I distinctly remember Xbox, Microsoft, and PlayStation saying, well, when games go digital, they're going to become cheaper because there's no overhead for the buildings. There's no overhead for the retail. There's no overhead for the production of a physical copy. So you could buy your you became a fucking 7-Eleven. Digital games became a 7-Eleven. They cost more. Why do they cost more? Convenience. They became convenience stores. So no, they know that it's cheaper to have digital. They know it was cheaper to put it onto the store. They know it's a cheaper way to distribute. They know it's cheaper. They get more profit from it, but they put more cost on it because they know that it's the path of least resistance. I think what's going to happen is I think that industries, whether it be video game industry, whether it be TV, whether it be film, I think we're going to see this. We're going to see this. And I think there's going to become companies that's actual ethos and mantra is going to be, we people create this. And that's going to be the
like selling point almost
of their company.
Yeah.
This has been created completely by humans, no AI. This is a story that's come from the heart and the soul of a human being. And this pathway, because these going to go in these pathways, the pathway that leans more to the AI and the that is going to be, for the most part, your major corporations.
They're going to use that.
Because your major corporations are going to go to the path of least resistance.
1,000%.
And you whatever we call it now, your single A, your double A, whatever you call it now, that is going to be the industry that says, we have created this. This is a human created thing. Obviously, you're working on computers, but you know what I mean? It's not been AI generated. Every asset's been created by a human. Every story beat is completely voice acted by humans. That's what's going to happen. And companies like Disney, Paramount, whichever ones continue to exist, what are we going to get from them? Are we going to get new, unbelievable ideas and creativity? No. Do you know what we're going to get? Star Wars 59. with the voice of Han Solo and Leia and Luke and Vader. That's all been AI enhanced and purchased on AI characters, put in a world which is AI generated, which is all meant to be realism. That's what the corporation's going to do. Indiana Jones 75, fucking Cannonball Run 29,000. It's going to be all of that. That is where the major companies are going to go. They're going to rely on IP. They're going to rely on
1000%.
recognizable brand. And
100%.
they're just going to use recognizable brand and pump it full of AI to bring back your heroes from yesterday as they were, young, fresh, vibrant, soulless.
Yeah, like I said, it's going to be interesting to see it play out, because I do agree that I think for a lot of people, from musicians on down, it will be something that I think a lot of companies, smaller ones especially, are going to lead with if they didn't use it as a selling point. And what the hope is, and like I said, I'm not saying this is definitively going to be the case. What the hope is that there's enough humans out there that connect with that experience and say, look, because this was made by real guys, at least to the best of their ability, or they were very limited in all the some of the AI stuff they used, I lean towards that, and then they go purge that. The only thing I fear on the other side of the entertainment sector is that you do have a lot of, again, when I look at some of the two biggest streamers, right, and Asmongold and like XQC, and they are unapologetically saying, yeah, I don't care about how it's created. I just care about the method. This is a cool thing, and therefore, I'm good with it. I worry that
It just seems a little short-sighted.
It is short-sighted because we're still at square one, I think, still with this whole thing, because the technology is advancing very rapidly, and there's a lot of catch up that everybody's playing. And again, I think the question that I asked at the beginning of the show, or the beginning of the segment, is a question that a lot of people are asking right now, and that is there even a tasteful way to use that? Right? Like, is it one that is going to be tasteful? So everybody's trying to figure that out. But yeah, it may be a benefit definitely to these creators who just, commit to just doing things themselves and original ideas and all that. If it becomes like you hear the term AI slop all the time, right? And if that's what happens in the future, and you have a bunch of this like mass kind of produced stuff that people can't really connect with or aren't willing to connect with, what still needs to be
dude, hold on, wait.
Yeah,
let me ask you a question, right?
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing to do? What's your favorite hobby to do right now? What do you do? You get excited. You get excited about it.
I mean, if we're talking like just like as far as what I'm spending most of my time doing outside of working out.
Yeah, outside of work, yeah.
Outside of work, it would be like, if not working out physically, it would be probably like, let's say, gaming is my hobby.
Okay. So, your favorite genre of games?
Action, live response RPGs.
Okay, and what is your favorite one of those of all time?
I would say,
I'm not going to hold you to this.
Right. Oh man, that's a
but
tough
just
one.
off the top of your head,
off the top of my head, let's just say Demon Souls.
Okay, right. Okay, that's fine. That's not wrong with that at all, right? So you've got Demon Souls. Demon Souls led into Dark Souls. Dark Souls led into Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3. That led into Elden Ring. That is a heck of a progression.
Right.
Yeah? Fair enough. And now we're on the cusp of Elden Ring.
Yeah, on the 30th, baby.
Yeah, and we're going to be fucking there.
Yeah,
we're going to be there.
Let's do it.
So we're leading it. That's exciting stuff, right? Okay. Now Disney buy Elden Ring tomorrow. What has Disney been putting out in recent years? Just say it.
I mean, textbook. People call it slop. It's just
so it's been putting out slop, right? So the companies, the corporations who are putting out shit right now, which they're doing, absolute slop, garbage. You think they are going to take AI and create something special with it?
That's a tall order.
No, they're going to take AI and they're going to turn it into fucking cheap, mass-produced slop. It's not going to enhance them. It's going to make them even lazier.
Yeah.
And,
I don't disagree.
And they will take, and if your beloved franchises, if your beloved games, if your beloved shows that you just like, this is quality stuff, turn around and go, we are now bringing in AI to do this. Do you think that is going to therefore turn it into an elevated product, or do you think it's going to turn it into a fucking cheaper, easier, more? The company gets streamlined, standards don't fucking rise because they don't have to, and you will get to a point where everything is generic.
Yeah,
it's just generic because the AI will come to a point. It might rise at the minute, it might rise, and it'll just go boo. It will hit a fucking hard plateau because
I do think that's I think. Yeah, that's a good point. I do think that is an inevitable thing. Like, what's going to happen is we're still on the cusp of just like, again, the technology being advanced is happening so fast. But I do think eventually it's going to however it looks, again, and I don't know, but whatever that setting is will become the quote unquote norm. For better or for worse. And I do think that's going to happen sooner than later, where we reach that point to where, okay, it's very accessible. You have, everybody's using it in this capacity and that capacity. And we've reached peak AI, right? As far as that is concerned, as far as definitely in the generative sense. I think, naturally what's going to happen, because everybody's using the same things. And again, just with the nature of what AI is, especially with the prompting, you're going to get a lot of familiarity, right? And it's going to be basically a baseline of where people are going to be able to just produce stuff. And maybe it's not, for whether it's good or bad, whatever, but it will be the same or similar. Like, I guess is the term that I would use. So,
dude. Steam, right?
Yeah.
Asset flips.
Mm-hmm.
All over the place. Asset flips.
Yep.
Welcome to AI. Because that is essentially the phase before that. Is somebody going in, purchasing pre-made assets, flipping it into some trash game, bang.
Yeah.
That is what AI will become. It's simply the evolution of an asset flip. But the asset flip is now going to move into all of your favorite franchises, not these small fucking guys that got one developer.
Yeah,
that just
like I say, I think the democratizing is overstated. I think people that think that is just, I think that's naive. There's a lot of people that assume that they look at they're pro AI. They like, oh, what's going to help the smaller guys? We're going to be good. And we're going to be able to make things that are very competitive. And it's like, I mean, I don't know why you don't think that the bigger companies won't also have access to that. And again, they're going to be on the cutting edge of it because it's just like kind of first in, best dressed. They also have access, especially with the entertainment guys. They already have access to those relationships already built, and they already have access to the IPs, right? So that gives them the advantage, not the small guy. You know what I mean? At all. So
exactly.
Perfect world. Like, if you are one of those that prefers this, it has an interesting reaction and a negative one. Like, by prefers, I'm talking about just like, humans creating, right? Where it does become so heavily relied upon and heavily utilized, and the market rejects it. Like, because that's really what it's going to boil down to. People can create all they fucking want, but there has to be an audience for it. So you can just because you do some shit don't mean people are gonna buy the shit.
No. Somebody says a good point in the chat. They says, why is us assuming? Well, I'm not assuming. You're assuming that I'm assuming. But why is us assuming we won't each have access to the technology? Like, every person today has access to the Unreal Engine, 4K cameras, Photoshop, etc. Well, number one, you need a license to use the Unreal Engine. And you need to be a licensed partner to be able to release a game. So anyway, but No, I'm not saying that. The thing is, right? You could have the tools right now. An individual could have the tools right now. Where's your audience? Where's your audience?
Well, yeah.
Just because I've got a fucking camera right now, I've got a camera here, I've got a microphone here, nice camera, nice microphone. Why am I not on NBC? Why is this show not on NBC? Because it's not how it works. When you have a massive corporation, they have the finances, they have the backing, they have the
first and best dress
things in place, etc., etc. So you can have a person that will make a video game. They could take the AI assets and make a great little video game. Doesn't mean it'll go shit. Doesn't mean it'll go anywhere. Yeah. Anywhere or any place.
The point, and just again, keeping that on the rails as far as that point, while that was the point that I was making, that it is accessible and it's going to be even more accessible than it ever had been, especially in the coming years. But the point is definitely when you're talking scale and the fact that there's these IPs that you don't own, right? They're still positioned to utilize it the most effectively. You know what I mean? And that is, and if you believe there is an effective way to use it, the mega corporations are, right? So that's the general point there, and why I don't think that I do think that look, people are going to have their fun and people are going to use it. I just think that people that say that, well, this is democratizing art, I think are overstating that. While yes, it allows you to produce something that you may have previously would have been you would have had to finance that to even get it to look remotely like that. You would have had to finance that in a way that again, you just couldn't have done that. But the big companies that people already care about, unfortunately, already have access to it, and they're going to have access to it before you do, to whatever those cutting edge tools. They're going to have access to it before you do. And if anything else, it's one of the big things that you though the white pill and entertainment in general, I do believe that there's a general decentralization that's happening with things becoming more affordable. We talked about Unreal there. That's true. I don't think AI, though, it specifically is attributing to that effort. I think that as far as what it's able to do and what people believe that it's going to make things more efficient or whatever, the massive companies are the guys that are best suited to use that. So I think it's a wash. It's less about who's benefiting, the big guy, the little guy. I think it's a wash. I just think it's a reality that people are going to have to accept in this future, that it's going to be a lot of people giving it a shot with it. But I don't think it's democratizing art as some people are suggesting that it is. But like I said, going back to the customer standpoint, at the end of the day, that is who's going to determine whether or not this is going to be the new reality. Because just because someone, no matter if they were able to produce it fully through AI, just because they did it does not mean that it's going to be embraced by the customer. You still have to have a paying customer. And I'm very, very interested to see, as more creative projects are sold, right? Because there's still the issue of IP that people are going to have to deal with, are sold with admittedly utilizing AI to generate these assets, and that's what they're producing. That's what they're trying to sell people on. I'd be very interested to see if there's a rejection, you know what I mean, and what that means for the industry. Because you bring up a point of that, is there going to be a big split where you're going to have these guys that are leaning on it heavily, and these other guys are like, no, we are produced by heavy. I think
that is going to become a selling point for some companies.
Yeah.
How big those companies are, how it's utilized, don't know.
Yeah, I get that. And someone was saying in the chat, like, people can just lie. And yeah, I guess so. But the IP issue, especially in the West, is something that is going to eventually have to get faced with that. Like, to what degree is someone even going to be able to sell it?
I would get excited. I would get more excited about the utilization of AI if we're dealing with companies that are legitimately pioneering, that are looking for the next big evolution in where we are in let's just stay with video games, for instance. In video games, you know, if we were getting that, I would be potentially excited. How can this help them? How can this make them expand to the worlds, the universes, whatever, that will literally blow our minds? Blizzard Entertainment brought in the one button rotation to WoW.
Fucking wow, man. That still trips me out.
So when you have a corporation with that sort of mentality, I can't get excited about AI being brought into these companies in the slightest.
Fair. Like, I think that definitely the informed people that, you know, kind of keep their hand on the pulse of the industry, that's a reasonable like reaction, right? I'm like, you know, you're putting this quote unquote powerful tool in the hands of people that have had all this money and access to these IPs that have just absolutely dropped the ball over the last, you know, decade or whatever. So you look at it like, well, how's handing them a tool going to improve them? And I don't think with them it will. You know what I mean? Like,
Ubisoft have been making slop for a decade, 12 years, making the same regurgitated crap for 12 years. The people who made Expedition 33 were Ubisoft developers. They were disillusioned. They were frustrated that they weren't allowed to be creative, that they were pigeonholed into these generic, formulaic, where can we monetize people's systems? Because that's what Ubisoft is. What they do, they go away, they create Expedition 33. I've never played again with two games that have come out this year, particularly Blueprints and Expedition 33. You can feel the soul that's gone into those games, the absolute heart and vision of people going to these games. But it's the major corporations that have the bigger reach and the bigger franchises that are going to take this, and they are just going to make it even cheaper, easier slop. Yeah. Then you'll get the Assassin's Creed again once a year because they can churn it. Then you'll get the Far Cry every year because they can churn it. We already see it with COD. We already see it with FIFA and Madden and all of that. But the thing is, for all the criticism of that, the Maddens, the FIFAs, the NBA, they sell the CODs.
They're among every year. They're among the top you know, as far as grossing revenue games each year, especially FIFA and Madden. It's the reality. And 2K. Yeah, fucking it's the reality, and that's right?
So I think that I'm probably speaking from the losing position in this argument. I think that I'm speaking from the position where, to go right back to the beginning of this conversation, what game developers have said, people will always choose the path of least resistance.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. It's like you're trying to separate from the ideal, what would be a more like, okay, I would love for the world to move in this direction, or I would love for the industry and the economy to, with regards to AI, to move in this direction. And then you have on the other side, like this kind of harsh reality that you have to address. And like just seeing people's language on this topic was interesting, man. And this is why I came out with the video, because I'm like, well, we got to be honest, right? There's a couple of things that we have to do here. And one of those things, and being honest about it, is it's not about how the technology simply is rapid in its growth, right? Like I saw this video today talking about in just 2 years how AI, definitely from the prompting as far as video, has just gotten crazy good.
Oh,
or when I say good, I mean like it's better presented, right?
Yes,
like
yeah.
You went through, you know, it couldn't capture this emotion of fingers and stuff like that, like all that sort of stuff. To again, what Google produced, VO shit 3 or whatever. Like it's like it looks, comparatively speaking, it looks better than what the one before did. So it's like, or what it did like 2 years ago. So all that considered, we're faced with, well, okay, well, it is going to impact the industry. It has been, it's getting there. People are using it. We just talked about Fortnite. Even big companies are starting to be like, you know, testing the waters and seeing how they can, how with their usage is that going to get over with the fans. But yeah, like you talk about like quote unquote losing position. Again, going back to what's hearing what some of those guys were saying, like, yeah, and this is what I'm trying to. I think you have the general customer, you have like more informed customers that definitely guys that are really tapped into the more cultural side. And I don't think when I say culture, I'm not talking about political. I'm not saying it's a left right thing. I'm just speaking solely like on the literal, like the culture around like entertainment,
Sure,
right?
yeah.
So you have those guys, and you have like the creator side, right, or the producer side of things. And I think all of those are going to view AI through completely different lenses. This is why you have such a backlash and an opposition to, especially like entertainers have a big opposition to it, because they see the reality, right? The reality is that, well, if this did catch on, well, they're going to be out of jobs. And some of those are going to be guys that probably shouldn't have had a job in the first place, for sure. But you'd be a fool to think that it wouldn't impact you, even if you did have a lick of talent. Because again, there's a difference between the producer and the actual customer, and that's who it all revolves around. So this is why I'm always trying to bring that conversation back there. It's like, well, we might feel this way, but does the general customer? I'm not saying mass, like I'm just saying, does the general customer view this the way that I do? And often they will not. And when you hear people being more open about, I don't care. When I hear a guy that has 50,000 people watching him say, okay, I don't care how it's produced. And then you got guys that co-sign that approach. It's like, well, shit. Is that going to be adopted by a bunch of guys? And a version of that is, to your point, and you hit these, like, it's to a different degree, but it's very similar in that you got folks say, well, I don't understand why people would buy Madden every year, or buy 2K every year, and buy FIFA every year, and it might go over your head.
Yeah.
But
they
it's
do.
a reality. They do.
Yeah.
They do. Whether you think it's stupid, whether you think it's dumb, whether you would individually do it, people are, and they're doing it by a lot, because of just how well those games sell each and every single year. That's why they keep doing it, right? It is they know they're gonna make an absolute fucking killing on it.
Do you know where probably should be leading to?
Yeah.
Is you become the main character. And I don't just mean in a video game, I mean in a film, where you can literally have your face scanned in. They scan your face. They scan. I mean, pretty much like they do with phones today. They can scan your front. They can scan your side. You constantly, moving. You're tilting. You're lifting up. You're lifting up. You're lifting up. They scan your head, and then you get uploaded as the character in the game. You get uploaded as the main character in the film. You can provide you will provide a sample of your voice. You will be have to read out certain phrases, nuances, words, emotions, and it will take it, and it will convert your voice into the voice of the character. We will literally become the stars of the films. We will literally become the stars of the video games. That's a route that I think this will ultimately go down. Now, whether we get to a point where you're like, design me a fantasy film with these criteria, I'm the lead, whether we get to that point, probably. How far in the future? Don't know. But I wouldn't say we're decades and decades and decades and decades away. I think we're
I don't think. If it's gonna happen,
be a decade away.
Yeah, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna be in our lifetimes. That's for sure.
Whether we might be too old,
we might be old as shit, but it's gonna happen. I think it's gonna happen 1,000%. And we get to the point. And again, how entertainment is going to be impacted is going to be determined by how the audience reacts to that. And if they're like, I don't want that, it's too same, because at the end of the day, just considering what AI is, it does have to pull from something, right? Even if it generates, right? It's almost like an oxymoron that it generates, because really what it's doing is taking a bunch of other stuff that, that's from other stuff to create this thing, right? There. So it'll be very interesting to see how the audience. I do think that you're onto something with there will end up being a split, it'll be like almost like a seal of approval, a badge that you'll see some guys make. And I'll be interested to see how, from a market standpoint, how competitive that is, where people are leading with, companies are leading with, we don't use this. We create, but we don't use this. We have a commitment to 99% of what we create is not generative AI, like, right, or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, we could literally get films that are sold on the fact that these are practical effects.
Yeah.
These are complete and utter voice actors with their own dialogue. Maybe CGI has been used to enhance certain things, but this is a non-AI. We could even be getting to that situation.
I think that'll be interesting, and that we get to that. And again, how the market responds, because, not to black pill people. I'm more the white pill of this, if you're being positive, would be that ends up working, right? So what happens is people see that AI is advancing the way that it does, and then just the general customer starts to prefer, right? No matter, even if it looks worse, like, and trying to use more objective metrics, right? They prefer that it's created that way. So almost it becomes this thing where, sure, maybe the mega corporations go away, but it becomes this thing where it becomes really lucrative. You can put a project together that is created by just human beings using their minds to make some awesome things happen. That would be a positive in the direction of the person that is, again, more not necessarily anti-AI, but they don't prefer it.
There is the potential. There's always going to be the potential, but there is the potential for this to actually kill the system how it is now, because the way that I've described how I think the corporations will use AI, I absolutely think that'll be the case. However, if talented people do come along, they utilize AI well, they do legitimately create these unbelievable experiences, and people gravitate towards that, they then explode. They become the new big thing. Just take YouTube, for example. 20 years ago, there's no.
It wasn't a thing, and I was here. I was here.
And yeah, exactly. And now we have fucking YouTubers that are biggest things on the fucking planet.
Good point,
There's nothing to say that can't happen, and it can't, and it potentially could kill your Disneys. It could potentially kill your Paramounts, whatever it is, etc. Because the people with talent come along, they utilize it better, they utilize it in the right way, and it develops a whole new industry. They become the industry leaders. Just like,
that would be a massive market disruption. Like, that would be unlike anything that
we've seen it happen.
Yeah, no, we have seen it, and that's what I'm saying.
Where was Google 30 years ago? Nowhere. Where is Amazon,
it
eBay? And now these we think that we can't even deal with them anymore without having them in our lives anymore.
Yeah.
So it could happen. These things do happen. This could be the shift. This could be.
It will be. I think the disruptions are going to happen. I mean, it's already starting to happen. It's just, where are the chips going to fall? It's more what everybody. That's the question mark, because we know it's going to impact the industry. We know there is going to be this disruption, but I'm really intrigued by how customers feel about this, because I do think even customers are split on this, at least right now. Right, we still have some advancement to go with it. But I think right now you have guys that are like, I do not like this. I don't like how it looks. It feels soulless, yada, yada. And then you have other guys that are like, just straight up like, yes, like definitely like tech bros, people that are involved in that. Like they pop up my Twitter and now and then. These guys talk about it like it's the best thing goddamn ever. They think it's fantastic. Job replacement, all that's just absolutely positive. And so it'll be interesting to see how customers feel about it as it advances. And I think that's kind of everybody needs to be prepared for it. You work in a creative industry, you need to be prepared for it. But the one thing that Polygon got right, which isn't much, is that other companies are kind of paying attention to what they did, what Fortnite just did there, and they're going to be looking at, okay, well, they did it. Well, maybe this justifies us doing it. I think everybody's kind of waiting for the other guy to do it because it's kind of almost uncharted territory.
But the AI is only going to work as well as it's been programmed. The AI is only going to work as well as the people who they have employed. And if they continue to employ the wrong people in the wrong roles, you're gonna get what you get.
Yeah. It's it's like I say, it's gonna be interesting. We will see. All right, I want to move on to talk about this because I want to ask his thoughts on it because this is intriguing to me due to the fact that as far as the reviews, though I have seen some diehards that are like, oh, well, it's slow, but for the most part, generally, the reception of the people that have played the game has been generally positive. But by all metrics that other people are using, not me, they're looking at this being underperforming title, okay, and Doom Dark Ages.
Yeah.
Of course, we have the running gag of them talking about 3 million players, which aren't sales, obviously. But I wonder, as like, I mean, I guess that two things can be true, right? It could be
absolutely two things can be right at the same time.
Yeah, it can be a decent game that just.
I think I thought I played it on stream. I did one stream for how long did I play for? I played for 3.5 hours. So I played for 3.5 hours. I did one stream. I haven't returned back to the game. I enjoyed what I played when I was fighting people. There were things in it which I didn't really think needed to be there. The dragon, particularly the dragon section, dragged on. Didn't really. I thought it was kind of killing the vibe, and I was kind of confused by how much story they decided to try. When I say story, let's just call it narrative. How much narrative they decided to put in, based off the fact that the whole point of this that they mocked story, narrative when it comes to games like this, and people are just more interested. People just want to get on and blow shit up. So I enjoyed what I did in terms of the gameplay. I thought the mechanics were decent with the shield and the various weapons and whatnot. I haven't felt the desire to get back on though. I felt more of a desire to go back and play Oblivion, which crashed 8 times in 40 minutes yesterday, and I was done. I was fucking done. Which is unbelievable. It crashed a couple of times, 3 or 4 times a stream, which I thought was bad enough. But yesterday it was like 8 times in 40 minutes, and it was absolutely unplayable yesterday. Absolutely unplayable. There hasn't been a single update since. So now I'm actually looking at what am I going to stream next? I'm not using any mods. My graphics card's not overclocked or anything like that. There's no enhancements to this PC. There's no fucking around. I even lowered settings and all this kind of stuff, but no, just crash after crash after crash after crash. And so now I'm just like, okay, what do I stream then? I don't think I can stream Oblivion until it gets fixed. I'm not really inclined to go back to Doom. Do I start a Witcher 3 playthrough again because it's 10 years of The Witcher 3 and celebrate the anniversary of The Witcher 3? Or do I do something completely different? I've never played Minecraft in my life. Never played it. Do I just go, hey, look, never played Minecraft. This is me playing Minecraft. But I'm looking at, put it this way, I'm just looking at alternatives. But I'm just no inclination to really get back onto Doom. Right. I might do it. Yeah. But if I did, I got a feeling I probably wouldn't do it on stream. I finished Expedition 33. I finished Blueprints. I've finished Atomfall. So it's just a matter of where do I go. But Doom's just, I can't say, because I can't say that I don't like it. Yeah, that would be unfair to the game, but it's just not. It's just not grabbing me. It's just not hooking me into to want to play on.
And again, that's what makes it interesting, and that's why I'm saying like it happens. Look, every now and then there's these games. I mean, we talked about it. What was it? Was it the last Mission Impossible that we were talking about that we thought was going to do gangbusters?
The Dead Reckoning Part 1.
Yeah. And it didn't. Right?
It didn't. No, it lost money. I loved the film.
Yeah.
More, I know people who I know didn't like the film. But yeah, it lost money, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah. So I think maybe that, and I don't know the answer. Some people have pointed to the price tag, though. I do think people are going to be more. I don't necessarily think that's what happened here. I do think people are going to be more conscious of that, especially with like how much gameplay. So why I said a million times, like there should never be any standard pricing in gaming. Like you kind of charge based on what you are putting into it, right? And obviously how much the customer is going to get out of it, right? And that should be what you base your price on, not just sort of arbitrary. Hey, everybody's charging this now, so that's what we charge. I don't think though that had much to do with that, because while they may turn off some customers, I mean the way that people are saying that this underperformed, there's something else to it. Was it the general concept that didn't just grab people? Maybe like what Eternal did, and it's crazy. I was looking at this the other day. Didn't Eternal come out almost 10 years ago?
Doom Eternal was 2021. Oh, the 2016. Was it 2016?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Wasn't it like almost
Doom Eternal? I think it's 2016.
It was almost 10 years ago. I played that, which is crazy.
No, you mean okay? Doom Eternal, which is the second one, was 2020.
What was the 20?
Oh, no.
What was?
Doom Eternal is the sequel to the 2016 Doom reboot.
Oh no, the reboot. Yeah, excuse me, the reboot. You're right. The reboot was 2016. The first reboot was 2016. Then Eternal would happen after that. Yeah, you're right. Okay, so yeah, that was the reboot. But yeah, I felt like definitely with Eternal though, it was a big resurgence, and yeah, that was Doom. That was the was that technically the fourth Doom? Is that what that was? 2016.
2016 was just Doom. It was Doom, and it was the there's been three. This is the third one. Dark Ages is the third.
Well, yeah, in this little trilogy for sure, there's been three. But yeah, either way, it seemed like there was this resurgence, and I saw these trailers. Trailers looked okay. People were like, okay, but yeah, by all accounts, it's just underperformance. So I don't know if is it a timing thing? I don't know. Maybe there's other factors here, but I don't quite have the answer. I don't know why this isn't doing as well as what people thought. I think people have said that it's peaked at they said it peaked at 30,000 Steam.
On Steam, it peaked at 31,470.
Yeah. 30,000, and
which is not a good number.
What I wonder what do you know what the 2016 and Eternal numbers?
Yeah, I can bring.
Yeah, I would like just to compare.
But bearing in mind that this is very different.
Well, yeah, it is a different release for sure.
Doom, 44,271.
That's Doom. That's 2016 Doom.
Yeah, 2016 Doom.
Okay.
And Doom Eternal, 105.
Yeah.
Thousand.
Okay, so Doom Eternal. That's what I'm saying. That was that resurgence. So they go back. Basically, they went back to Doom 2016 levels, essentially as well. Less.
Yeah. Less
technically,
less than.
Yeah. Less than. But yeah, they had this big explosion, and then there's the third one, and it's back down. Like I said, I wonder if it is a timing thing, because I know the guy Chase said I brought Eternal and didn't care much for it. And a lot of people just absolutely loved it. I loved it for the music. Right? It's pretty metal as fuck. And I usually don't ever care about that in games for the most part. But I don't know. I don't really have the answer, but I know that those guys, as well as the rest of the industry, has to be looking at that like, what in the hell is going on? Because this seemed like a slam dunk.
Well,
And there are none. Maybe they're not slam dunks anymore. Maybe they don't. Maybe they don't exist.
This is the first Doom that I've played of the new Dooms.
Okay.
I haven't played Doom 2016 and I didn't play Doom Eternal. So this is my first outing. I have heard from a lot of people in the chat who have played the previous iterations that this one is much more of a dubbed down version.
Yeah, they say it's easier than the previous one. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that's what it is. And maybe people aren't feeling the justification of picking it up at full price. Maybe they'll pick it up.
Maybe later be one of those, Steam sale somewhere. I can see that.
But and I don't mean this in a nasty way when I say this for this game, because like I said, I have no prejudice against this game at all. But maybe it's just one of those instances where we have stressed ourselves, Eric, that nobody is entitled to your money because it's new game.
You're not wrong, bro. We've talked about that, stressed it out, and I think that again, I know we just had this segment talking about AI, which is a little aside from the point, but in the same vein. But I think this is where the true decentralization is happening, as there are so many different ways in gaming now that you didn't have access necessarily to 10 years ago, as far as all these various options that will entertain you. Okay. And so what that creates for the big dogs is that sure, you have some that are guarantees, but there's not as many, right? As there once was before. Like even with Assassin's Creed, I mean, I that underperformed by all metrics, right? And I'm like, I don't know. Like it was still an Assassin's Creed game. I would have never imagined it doing not well. Even if it was poorly received, I wouldn't imagine it doing that well, and it didn't do well. And I think some of that, not all of it, but some of that has to do with people just having options. With especially and being more open. I think that's where the culture kind of sets in, where people are now more open to trying things out that sure they might not have the best graphics. That it might be.
We don't have to purchase new game because it's new.
Yeah. I think there was a time period where the general customer, or there were more people in that pool that were like, I gotta have the latest thing, I gotta have the big thing from the big company. Where now people are like, a lot more people are falling in that other category of like, I will entertain something else.
Well, also this came out with a hefty price tag of £100 UK, £100 to get 3 days early access. Right. So this is a new thing that they've been doing to try and get you to engage in a video game early. That can help you. That can hinder you.
Right.
And people, if people who were either on the fence or they're just like, I don't want to pay this early access, but I'm going to get the game, and they go watch somebody play it, and they're just like, it kind of looks a bit, it doesn't look as fun as the other game. That can actually hurt a sale. Yeah. So you got to be careful if you want to get the early doors extra money. The realism is you're actually opening that up to people who will stream these games, allowing people the opportunity to physically see it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the risk you take, I guess.
And maybe that has a part. Something about the chat, like people had money 15 years ago. I didn't say anything about affordability. As far as me, is the point that I was making. So if that's how it came across, no, the point that I'm making is that people are culturally more willing to entertain. I mean, the Rippaverse is an example of that. You know what I mean? Like companies just exploding like that in comics doesn't happen. Maybe the timing doesn't line up the way that it did 10 years ago for us, right? It's a timing thing. And I think now just people are, and we see it, we especially see it in the streaming space. People are more willing to entertain a smaller scale game. then they don't feel like they absolutely have to fork over have much cash to get the latest shiny thing from the big company, right? They'll get it from a double A, single A game. I mean, you see guys goofing around on Schedule One and all this other stuff, and so people. The point that I'm bringing up is that people are finding other ways to be entertained in gaming, to where they don't feel like they absolutely have to get the latest thing when the latest thing drops from the big major company. That's the point that I'm making there. So yeah, it and that's different. Like again, like the time of day is what people used to not give, at least not as often, right? That's why it's always been, no matter what entertainment sector that you were in, it was always so difficult to break through without going through the quote unquote proper channels, because they just had, it was just a pipeline, and that's how you got all the viewership, that's how you got all the access. Whereas to now, it's like, yeah, the big companies still exist, but people's attention will go to, okay, well, yeah, they're those guys, they're Activision, Blizzard, all those guys there. But look at this team of 5 people that made this cool concept of a game. I'll play that. That's new. That's a relatively new thing that people are gravitating towards, or rather, it's a larger pool of people that are willing to do that instead of always buying the EA game, always buying the big AAA title. So yes, you have people always playing independent games, but now there's more. It's more open and more widespread. That's a positive. That's a positive. But I know big companies are looking at this like, well, what the fuck happened? But yeah, but then you have the spin, which is interesting. I don't know. Maybe there's something that I'm not seeing where they're saying Dark Ages is the biggest launch in ID's history.
What? Okay. Let's not be cynical for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Let's say this is true. Where are the sales numbers?
We know them though, to be fair.
Not players, you know, where are the sales? Just said, okay, if this is the launch, then tell us the sales.
Right.
Because that is a proud thing. If you're saying this is the biggest launch in Doom's franchise history, right? That is it. There's nothing wrong with saying that. There's nothing wrong with bragging about it. You know,
you should. If it's true, you should.
You absolutely, exactly. So what you do is then you support it by saying, because we sold X amount of units in 3 days, 5 days, a week, whatever it may be. I don't understand why you would hide those sales figures, because when you hide something like that, then it feels like you're not being fully honest. So just, if you're honest about it, great. Show us. You know, it's not a gotcha. We're not trying to gotcha here. You're the one who's saying this is the biggest launch, but then you have to say, what's the qualification of biggest launch? Is biggest launch
that's a good point.
Highest number of players? And it's not the biggest launch in terms of sales.
Yeah.
So that's it, because this is, of course, on Game Pass.
Yeah.
And they might have had a huge influx of people on Game Pass, and those aren't.
And I think there's still things up for question is how they read that data, like what's considered a play, right?
You know, just what do you consider the biggest launch? Highest number of players or biggest number of sales? Personally, I would say it's the number of sales, because that is physical. But there is an argument against that to say, well, because of Game Pass, how do you quantify that?
That's where the conversation goes. Absolutely. That's where it has to go. That's the only place that it can go if that's the case. But yeah, that's a great point. They should be a little more like, okay, what is that? What exactly does that mean?
Yeah.
Because it does say that. Well, let's looking at the social media post, right, and what they said. They said that Dark Age is the biggest launch in ID's history, 7 times faster to 3 million players than Doom Eternal. Now, chat, I don't know if you know, but I don't think was Doom Eternal on anything else, like as far as streaming and all that sort of stuff? Or is this something that they started with Dark Ages?
Regardless, because Xbox Pass has been around for a good few years now.
Yeah.
But regardless of that, there's a huge difference between the 34,000 versus the 105,000. It's players, which means it's not sales.
Okay.
I mean,
yeah,
great, good on you. I've got, like I said, I'm not trying.
It needs to be contextualized.
Yeah.
Is what you're trying to
trying to
say.
fuck
Yeah,
it. Yeah. There's no.
yeah.
I'm
It
not
just needs
trying
to
to
be
gotcha here.
contextualized. Yeah.
But when you start playing the number of players game versus sales, then you are hiding actually how much you've sold.
Yeah.
What's the best way to do this? I would say, again, I have no beef. I have no fucking dog in this fight.
ID based out of like down the street.
Just say
from
what
me?
the breakdown is then. Just say what the 3 million players, right? How many on PlayStation? How many on PC? How many on Xbox Pass? Is that fair? Is that fair? I would say that was fair to say we have 500,000 people on PlayStation 5. We have, we have 1 million players.
Yeah, they're headquartered in Richardson.
PC. We have 1.5 million players on Xbox Pass. Break it down. Quantify. Just quantify it then.
Yeah, that it just needs to be.
Because it could be.
Context.
We have 1
million.
Yeah,
100% could be.
1.5 million PlayStation 5 sales. We have 500,000 PC sales, and we have 1 million players on Xbox Pass. Just do that. Do that, because the way that this works, it just feels like you're trying to actually hide the sales figure. Because, and it's no fault to Bethesda, for all the Starfield rant and everything. I think it's a company that's long past its peak.
Prime.
Yeah, but we have just seen Assassin's Creed Shadows playing this game and failing miserably, whereas people like people like
Expedition told us 2 million sales.
Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, they have just gone bang, sales.
Yeah.
Sales.
Yeah, I don't know, bro. It's interesting, but yeah, I would love to contextualize that.
To me, it just kind of feels a little bit meaningless unless you do contextualize it.
Yeah. So, just real quick, I'm not even wanting to bring up old stuff, but I just wanted to, we're highlighting this because we knew the direction that Bungie were going in, and they had this whole marathon thing, and it didn't seem to the big reveal didn't seem that big for a lot of people that are fans of Bungie, and also I think at the timing, I think there's other games that are in that vein of the extraction stuff, and that are seem to be a little more impressive, like with Arc Raiders as an example. One of those, so it's like they have to be looking at that, like, what in the fuck is going on?
Arc Raiders has taken Marathon to fucking school.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it looks. That's what it looks like.
Right, all right. In the interests of fairness, let's just put Arc Raiders to one side for the second.
Yeah.
Okay. Based off what we'd seen of Marathon, to me, the game looked soulless.
That I wouldn't disagree with.
It looked
it did look like it didn't have an identity.
Soulless. I didn't think graphically it looked stimulating. I didn't think the characters looked stimulating. I've seen it all fucking before. And then to say this is an extraction shooter that is going to have no PvE element, that's fine to make that decision. And so if you don't like PvP, this ain't the game for you. I'm just like, holy shit! Can you not sell the game to me even more than you're doing right now? Because you're doing a fucking great job of talking me out of the building. I
think with an extraction shooter, in some capacity, there would be like NPCs or something. There'd be some PvE element.
They don't have to. They can.
They don't have to. But
they want to buy. They want to sell this. They want to sell this as a fucking price tag game.
Fair. I mean, I just feel like modern, like a lot of these. I don't know. I think that's just kind of almost inherent in it, but maybe I'm wrong there. in that genre. But look, they can do whatever the fuck they want. I mean, I'm not one to say, well, just because everybody else is doing a thing one way, you should do it the other way. I don't want to be that guy at all.
But if you're doing these extraction shooters, then you look at probably the biggest extraction shooter right now,
Tarkov. Yeah, it has to be. Yeah.
So, and what is Tarkov? Tarkov's hard. It's hardcore.
It's hardcore. It is the extraction shooter game, and it is about as hardcore as it can get.
Yeah. So you're trying to sell this as like a more
modern, I guess.
Casual.
Yeah, casual will be the term. Yeah.
It's not. No, sir. No.
Yeah,
but
I do believe
it didn't work for me anyway.
I believe that for sure. The extraction element of I still think that genre for sure is something worth being explored. I love that people are starting to mix it up. You've had your copycats with the extraction shooters. Again, going back to what Arc Raiders are, if I have to choose, which you don't have to choose.
Dude, Arc Raiders looks.
It does look. Great. It looks more intriguing as an extraction shooter than what Marathon does.
Yes,
1000%. I'm not saying that just because you play one doesn't mean you don't have to play the other. I'm just using comparatively speaking because they kind of almost we got like these betas or whatever you want to call them at these different various stages where people are able to play the game at the same or roughly the same time, and they're sitting around the same genre. I wonder what Bungie. What do you think Bungie does? Do they go back to the drawing board with it?
Oh, dude.
Because you know what happened, obviously, with the oh man, like,
dude, I think Marathon's dead.
Oh no,
I do. I think it's dead. Oh, no, I think Bungie have killed this game. If you saw the, I only saw snippets. I didn't see the whole thing. But if you saw the dev discussion, they couldn't even show footage because they didn't know if they were going to be showing stolen asset footage.
Yeah, that
was a group of people who were dead on the inside on that stream, dead, and the chat was merciless. This game is done. 5 years down the shitter, it's done. It can't come back from this in this capacity at all.
Right.
There would have to be a monumental change in Bungie's structure, leadership, and I think the whole design and attitude and ethos of the game. I think this is done. It's done. It's dead. It's 5 years down the toilet, 5 years of people's lives wasted. And I would have a little bit of sympathy if it wasn't from the fact that self-inflicted and completely mismanaged.
Yeah, Bungie just hasn't been.
You steal assets, and you don't have the structure in place to catch this, identify this.
Yeah,
which kind of says to me that maybe they knew. Maybe they
just thought they were going to get away with it.
Potentially, yeah.
Well, that would be especially fucked up.
We put our own lick of paint on it, you know. We've changed these colors or that or that, you know.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I just it's just tough, man. Because it's like it's Bungie, bro, and I get it. We're so far removed from the glory days of Bungie.
Yeah, because we're not talking like, right, okay. Let's say a game that's just done well in recent, let's say Expedition 33, right? It comes out that Expedition 33 actually stole art assets from somebody. You'd be like, that is such a shame, because the game's fucking amazing. The gameplay's incredible. The stories are absolutely off the hook. It's why didn't they just credit this person? Please just make it right. Pay them, make it right.
Give them
right?
what is owed.
Yeah. So there's a thing saying, please sort this because this is great.
Yeah.
Marathon just looked fucking shit.
So they didn't have a redeeming quality. That's what you're
saying.
Exactly.
It didn't. I wasn't looking at that and going, holy, and then it comes out and you're just like, fuck. No. I watched footage because I thought, is it just the footage that I've seen? So I went and I started to watch more footage because I wanted to get a proper idea. And I was just.
It's boring. It did look.
It just looks so boring.
It did look soulless, man. And
pull my,
I guess that's the only thing that you. Oh, I'm hearing myself. Oh, because
so I just pulled my headset out.
Yeah. But
I fell asleep that
only
hard.
saving grace, or the tactic would be that this game has to be. I mean, it's the same thing that I said about Naughty Dog's Intergalactic. What's the name of the fucking
Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet.
Okay, yeah.
Oh,
Great
but
title.
did you hear that Cuckman has said that's not the only game that?
Oh, so he's going back on some of that stuff.
That's not the only game that Naughty Dog are working on right now.
Okay, that's good news for them, I guess.
I responded with, "Cuckers, I'm fine, thank you." I don't think I can handle more than one Naughty Dog game once lifetime right now.
We'll see what happens with Bungie.
Intergalactic, the lack of profit.
Oh man. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with that game. But we have to talk about this because I want to get as take on it because obviously it's not landing well with pretty much anybody. It does bring up a great conversation where someone's basically saying don't make it the game $80 and Randy Pitchford. This is in reference to Gearbox and Borderlands says not his call, which also fair. He's probably not the guy that determines the price. He's the CEO though, but probably that's above his head, I guess. He says, if you're a real fan though, you'll find a way to make it happen. My local game store had
That's so bullshit.
Starflight, Sega Genesis for $80 in 1991. When I was just out of high school working on minimum wage, had an ice cream parlor in Smoke Beach. And I found a way to make it happen. Now, this is my thing. And I made this point last night, so I'm repeating myself for people that were watching me last night speak about this. With any price increase, and I like to think I know a little bit about price stuff because I have to do it every day with this company. Nobody likes price increase. That doesn't mean they're not justified. But what this shows is a big disconnect between some of the bigger dogs and maybe how they did things before versus how, what's going to land better now. Definitely with people having all the options that they have where they say, look, I don't have to spend, I don't owe you my money. With anything that you do where you're increasing the price on your customers for any reason, right? First of all, it's the worst way to reply to that. But you have to justify it, right? You have to explain it. And people would be more open. So, again, going back to what I said, two things can be true.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that this Borderlands game is going to be worth $80. I'm not saying that. I want people to get that wrong. What I'm saying is if it was, all he would have to do is explain it. All the company would have to do is explain it. Like, okay, look, we know there's a lot going on. Inflation or whatever has impacted pretty much all facets of everybody's industries. We are guaranteeing you this amount of hours. We had this much amount of manpower going into it. It was efficiently spent. Like you say that, and it goes over well a lot better. And people be like, oh, okay, I kind of understand. But to essentially say, well, if you're a fan, you'll find a way. And it's like, as you're the CEO, bro, I don't know if that's the way to approach that price increase, bro. I think that's a terrible way to do it.
Randy Pitchford, not my favorite person in the world.
Yeah, he's done some questionable things.
Yeah, he's been a bit of the dick. I am going to try and give him the biggest benefit of the doubt and say that I think what he said was very clumsy. That's the biggest benefit of the doubt I could give. Now, do I think that's actually the case? No, I think he's a dick. I remember in 1992 that there was a game that came out that I really fucking wanted to buy. And that game was called Street Fighter 2, and it was on the Mega Drive, aka Sega Genesis.
Mm-hmm.
That game in 1992 cost £60. is what it costs. £59.99, which in today's money is 132 UK pounds. A lot of money, particularly when we've had the discussion in recent weeks. Boom. Particularly when we've had the discussion in recent weeks where we've been talking about £100, $100 video games, right? That's more. I was working a food job. I was flipping burgers. I was young. I was flipping burgers. I was making not a lot of money a week. And I did use my wages for 1 week to buy Street Fighter 2. As Randy would say, I found a way. I don't want to say he's the real fan because that's bullshit. I found a way to buy it because I really, really wanted it. Okay. I don't think, chat, some of you might go with this, some of you might not. I don't think there's been a good Borderlands game since Borderlands 1. I don't think Borderlands 2 was a patch on Borderlands 1, and I couldn't even be asked to touch Borderlands 3, nor did I hear particularly good things. So to hear that the person who made Borderlands 4 is the same person that made Borderlands 3 in terms of the story, the narrative, I have no excitement or interest in Borderlands as a franchise. I think the first game was great, and that's it. So do I, as a person, need to go and spend $80 on Borderlands 4? Now I'm good. So by saying real fans will find a way, he's coming up with the same sort of language and verbiage that simply divides people.
Agreed.
Just like we've had with Disney. Oh, you're not a real Star Wars fan if you don't like Rey fucking Palpatine.
Right.
You're not a real fan if you don't like black gay Doctor Who with a thumb up his ass. You're not a real fan if you don't like Star Trek Discovery, inclusive, diverse pronouns, non-binaries in space, gay kissing. You're not a real... Right, people just go fuck off then. Fuck off then. We don't need it. We don't need the Star Wars. We don't need the Star Trek. We don't need... Because all the good stuff's already been made and we can just rewatch the good stuff. So fuck off. There's so many video games. So to let's just, again, if I was to give him the benefit and say that what he said is just really clumsy, his clumsiness has essentially said, fuck off to a lot of people. Now, Randy Pitchford, of course, doesn't care because Randy Pitchford's, he's made his money. He's set for life. He doesn't have to worry about shit. And when somebody doesn't have to worry about shit again, and the mask slips and they show who they really are, to me it says, I don't need to support a guy like you. I don't need to support a company like you or or a franchise.
He speaks in this like
it's elitist. It's elitist.
It is. In the way that he speaks, though, specifically in this tweet. I'm not going to say who the guy is because he might be, but I don't know. I can't say. I'm only talking about the tweet in which he's replying in a way that, and yeah, maybe clumsy is the fairest that we can describe this as. But
I think it's the most benefit of the benefit.
Well,
yeah,
like that's the most friendliest way to kind of describe the way that he said it, because he does start by saying basically, I can't make that call anyway. Which for that, that's an interesting thing. Definitely when people, you're kind of you're a CEO, but he goes in this realm of like, hey, it does sound a little elitist, and it does sound like more like not he, but you get like Borderlands as a franchise inherits the money of the fans. And I'm here to tell you guys, there's a guy that runs his own business. Fans don't owe you yet.
No, sir.
Just because they like something in the past does not mean that they are guaranteed to give you their money in the future. It does not matter how well the material was made in the past. This is a new purchase, and with that new purchase, it's their money. You're not entitled to it, obviously, and you're not owed it. And I think what this, you talk about the mask slipping, I do think that this is more representative of like the industry. And it seems almost bizarre, especially for us, because we're very interactive with our audiences, right? They're not like that. Which is weird for them to even engage in this conversation the way they do, but they're not a boots to the ground kind of face to face, really interactive, which to me, I think that's the way of the future, especially with this AI shit happening. I think that's the one way you can separate yourself and just being a fucking human being, right? And people feeling like they're talking to an actual person and not like a robot, not like a again a corporate entity, right? They're speaking to an actual person or interacting with real people, right? Like he approaches that like he owes these guys money. Like, well, excuse me, like they owe him
They
money.
owe him, yes, yes.
He's approaching like they owe him money, and it's just not the case. And I think as more of these bigger dogs get to, the mask is going to continue to slip as they converse more because it's out of their territory, right? Like this is from the game that they originally came from. Sure, you can get away with that because you were so far disconnected from the actual audience. You were so far disconnected from the people that actually buy your stuff. I just think that the way that
share this while you're talking.
yeah. Well, yeah, obviously, this shows that people weren't owed money.
That's the cultural impact Borderlands has.
Yeah,
none.
Yeah, so them slapping Borderlands on it didn't have people lining up to pay for it.
There's no cultural impact. Minecraft, $900+ million. It's probably not going to hit $1 billion, but 900 on a low budget. So it's made fuck ton of profit. This was on a budget of what, 100 and something million. Lost money. So there's no cultural impact with Borderlands. Nobody is worshipping the shrine of Borderlands at home. Yeah. So you need your customers
badly, especially right now. You need them, and that's a terrible reaction. Like I said, I think there's a more tasteful way to do that if you absolutely had to do it.
There's a easy way. You said it straight away. Yeah. I could have said it straight away.
Right.
Is as Saints and Sinners better not be an 80-page book. How would I tackle somebody that would say that? It would be like, hey, look, this is the price point that we come to. Is 6 creators. We've all got, we've all done stories for you. It's this huge book. It's the first time that we've done an anthology. I get if you can't get it right now, fingers crossed, you might be able to pick up a copy in the future and whatnot. But I really appreciate, she's put. It's fucking it's not difficult to do.
It is not. It's not.
He just went full mask off. If you're a real fan, such a pretentious fucking thing to say.
Yeah, it is, and it wasn't the way to go about that by any means. And yeah, I don't think Borderlands has obviously the impact that it did before, but I think people, especially in this day and age, this is why I found it particularly egregious. Because in this day and age, like, I mean, we were just talking about this in a different segment, like with Doom, right? You're seeing that, people have other options, and they will entertain those options if need be, even if they were supportive of your work in the past. So you're not helping yourself. If anything, you're hurting yourself. So yeah. I mean, shout out Randy. Speaking of, again, I think they're also in Gearbox, also based out of the DFW. I could be wrong about that, but we got I know ID Software is. They're in Richmond. I looked it up. I think Gearbox is like in the same city as me, if I'm not mistaken.
Maybe.
So, y'all got to get it together, man. Y'all got to get it together.
I can't put my finger on the exact year, but I'd say it was in the last decade for sure. And certainly with the more prevalent rise of social media, when was the point where this
Yes, they're based out of Frisco. Wow.
Right. so where did this anti-customer, because it's not consumer, we're customers, where did this anti-customer rhetoric just start to evolve from? I think it started to evolve. Hey, QBG, shout out QBG.
Shout out.
To me, it kind of felt like it came about when, instead of promoting a game, companies started promoting an ideology.
I'll tell you what happened. There's a chance that these people, what do you mean these people? These folks
careful.
were always like this. The thing that I do think ideology, especially with this certain guy that has kind of orange tinted skin, becoming president almost 10 years ago, I think that has something to do with it because it sent people in a frenzy. But it's almost like that was like that. But what really happened, as far as the side effect is concerned, is that social media, like I say all the time, it killed the movie star. And I think these people there was a chance that they were always like this, but you never really knew what these types of people were thinking unless it was buried in some magazine or something like that. It wasn't like out there for thousands, millions in some cases of people to see. So now social media gets brought into the equation. It explodes in the 2010s. There's these different options, Instagram, Twitter, all this other stuff that has this higher usage base. And these people are just firing shit off because they're on it there as well, right? This is, I mean, hell, this is what we're reading it from. We're reading it from Twitter. So what happened is it gave these guys an avenue to really expose themselves is one of my theories on this, and that they were always like this. It was just they had the benefit of being a little more secretive because social media wasn't the thing. And when it was becoming a thing, like during the MySpace era and all that stuff, it wasn't like it was like widespread where now everybody has these mini fucking computers, right? That are in their hands, right? And I had back then, you talk MySpace days, that's when I had the little razor phone and shit. It was only so much I could do on that damn thing. But it's now changed. So now people are they're intrinsically sort of connected, and they're just telling on themselves. Maybe they've always been assholes. And I think ideology had to do with some of it as well, all the signaling, but it's more that just exposes who they really are. And they were giving the rope, if you will, for lack of better terms, to
hang themselves with.
Hang themselves. And that's exactly what's unfortunately some of your favorite people, some of your favorite movie stars, you found out like, God, this guy's a dick. Mark Hamill. Social media killed Mark Hamill.
Look, I had a wonderful interaction with Mark Hamill in about I think it's Easter of 2014.
Mm-hmm.
He was a normal guy. I just remember I was at my mom's for Easter. My mom had got me an Easter egg, or my sister had got me an Easter egg, and it was an R2D2 Easter egg. So I just took a picture of it, and I just atted Mark Hamill in and just said, "Hey, look, I got this," and he liked the tweet, and it was just like, "Oh, that's really kind of him. You know, that's really nice of him." And he always came across, and I used to follow him on social media because he always came across as like a really nice, kind, well, humble would be a little bit too much, but you know, grateful. He was grateful for all the fans. He was grateful for all the love for Luke and his career and Joker and Star Wars and whatnot. And he was actually a pleasure to follow. A lot of them were a pleasure to follow.
Yeah, a lot of them.
And then they just
it went crazy, bro.
Turned into these insufferable bitches that if you don't agree with everything I agree with, and once upon a time, people would quite happily say, "Look, we don't have to agree on politics or this or that. You know, we love, you know, let's come together with what we love, which will be whatever they're involved with, you know, which video game I'm involved with, which film I'm involved with, or TV show." But they just suddenly seem to get a download that says, unless people all conform to this, then they are pariahs. And I ended up having to unfollow Mark Hamill because, way before all the stuff, the last few years of utter meltdown, because my feed just got full of just crazy conservative hate. And regardless of whether or not he was a conservative himself or a Democrat would be irrelevant. I just hate it when my feed just gets overblown full of this rhetoric. I don't find it conducive to a good mental state to just constantly see shit like this. I think we need to have a return back to food pictures and cat videos, please. Like the internet used to be when it was fucking based as fuck. Hey, look, here's my first fucking thing that I got today. So it's just insane. And there's been so few people that have had the courage to just not even be part, not even say, "Hey, stop fighting," but just be like, "Look, nobody should give a shit about where I vote."
Yeah.
You know, nobody should. That's the least most interesting thing about me is where I tick a box once every 4 years. You know, I'm here on socials because I want to interact with my fans of Star Wars or my fans of Star Trek, because this is what I've loved to do for X amount of years, and I love having interactions with fans that just are so enamored by this whatever it is. And it just feels like that's not a difficult thing to do. And so where did this divisive behavior masticize from? Because it is cancerous, because it just divides and drives people away. We looked at the viewing figures of Doctor Who in recent times, and even since the introduction of Jodie Whittaker to where the show is now, it's lost between like 60 to 80% of its audience, depending on how you want to look at the figures. But it hasn't halved, it hasn't divided. The division's way past the halfway mark. It's just taken colossal chunks of the fan bases out of the equation completely. Jeez, people need to look at Tom Cruise, at least Tom Cruise's attitude towards how he deals with
for sure.
press and how he deals with promotion and how he deals with talking about fans, because that guy is the last movie star. That's what he is. He's the last legitimate movie star alive.
Yeah, I mean, good luck. If that's your approach, if you are one of those that are going to be, I don't know, say antagonizing, but it comes across as if you're not appreciative of your customers, man, you are in trouble. You know what I mean? I just think that people got to get their stuff together there. So it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to see what happens to Gearbox, because
well, I think I think it'd be a little dramatic to say they're up against it with Borderlands 4, but let's just say I think they're wading against the tide with it. That they're not allowing themselves to be, they haven't got the wind at their back with this franchise. Borderlands 3 was not well received. The Borderland movie absolutely tanked. They thought that the response would be to announce Borderlands 4, and now they're saying or at least he's hinting that yes, we're going to stick a very high price tag on it. No, you're not doing yourself any favors here. Good luck. I hope you do well. I have a feeling that it might not be the W that you expect.
that's for sure. Right on. All right, let's get to 2 hours. That's perfect timing. Let's get to some of these supers, if you guys don't mind. As always, Josh Kelsey comes through, doesn't say anything. Drops his 20.
Hey, Josh, seriously, mate. I know you barely say a thing, but can I just say on behalf of everybody whose channels that you come into, you come in on the regular, you tend to drop a 20 on the regular, and dude, this money adds up and adds up and adds up.
It does, bro.
And you've just been such an unbelievable supporter of multiple channels, and you are very, very appreciated. And thank you so much, Josh.
Shout out. Garfield's Bizarre Adventure with a 25 months says, "Yo, Rip, will you and Az be playing Elden Ring?" Yes, we've already talked about that. Definitely the video game I look forward to the most. I am in 1000%. So yeah, expect that. Allow Nork says, "So excited for Saints and Sinners." I already talked. That's what we talked about earlier. Still leg of history with a 34 month says, an update. My dad was able to come home last night. He is resting and recovering now. Thanks. Prayers, kind words. Everyone be blessed. Well, I love to hear that. Good health. I love to hear that. So big shout out to you, still leg of history. I love to see you here. Much love. Jefferson with a 5 says, you mentioned AI dialogue in games, and I thought I could hear Marla screaming, no, throughout the dimensions. At least it nixes slop writers. Lord Bother with a 2 says, console wars will change to the content wars. It'll be interesting. It's going to be interesting. DB with a 2 says, AI might help certain creators deliver books. OT, I guess he means on time, I'm assuming. Perhaps. I don't know. Mitchell Fields with a 5. You can finance it or finance it. But if you do both correctly, you'll end up with an amazing product. Shout out Mitchell Fields. Yeah.
Saints and Sinners has got a fine ass.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah. Astro Zombie with a 19 month says, proud of you guys for the continued success. Vet bills have affected cash for my hobbies lately, but will definitely be grabbing Saints and Sinners. Well, we love to hear that. Hey, man, that's why we keep a mass print around anyway. So it doesn't matter if it's months down the line. We keep one around for every one of our books. So if you want to, you can keep getting that. Don't worry about it. David Nelson with a 5 say, hey, River, thanks for the pep talks. Started a new business called My Stream Guide. Hope it goes well. Hey, more power to you. Should be live in 3 months. Thanks again. Well, hey, man, we need people giving it a shot. So I'm all for it, bro. Good luck. Good luck. Seriously. Oliver with a 10 says, I was at a talk and heard someone speak about using blockchain to split up the IP used in AI generated works in order to monetize it. I don't know if it will work, but I thought it was interesting. I this is my first time hearing about that. I'd be interested to see how that exactly looks. Big Bone with 18 months says, imagine Skyrim with unlimited dialogue options, typed input, and a fully reaction NPCs in addition to what it is. It can make me Dragon Dong 2000.
Yeah. And that is the biggest example of why we don't want.
Shout out Big Bone, man. You know, I love to see you here, bro. As always, you got the Landy Lodge with a 20 says, what are the odds we end up in a hybrid? Maybe the primary assets will be human made, background assets, AI generated. I think again, it's going to be a percentage. That's what I was talking about earlier. Like if we talk a stamp, it'll be less like they did or did not. Maybe you do have one for guys that didn't use it at all, but it'll be like, hey, 90% of this was made by fucking human beings or something like that.
Yeah. It's how you utilize the tool. Like you said, as regards to CGI, it became an over-reliance and a crutch.
Right.
And a lot of the storytelling and character and all that kind of stuff got swept aside in an effort to make fancy effects. So that's the kind of main problem, is how it would be utilized. I don't have a problem with it enhancing little things if it works as a good enhancement tool, but the body of the work is done creatively by people and not programmed to just extrapolate, stuff, because that's can't create. You
Right.
can't create.
Yeah. So yeah, I do think that's possible. Maybe even likely. Landy Lodge, appreciate that. 20. Scott Jumper with a 20 says, I found Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, and Silver Surfer at number ones. The kid was selling his dad's collection after he passed. I wanted to cry for his dad after watching his son not care at all about it. Damn. That is rough.
It's not Sky Jumper. We all feel exactly how you feel. Sometimes it's just not other people's cup of tea.
Yeah, true.
It's our cup of tea, but I'm sure there's plenty of things that we'd go just like, yeah, tragic though. I'll take them.
It says I read that. That's the one I just was on. My bad. Mechanism Studio says, I'm finally having some characters drawn for my graphic novel. What sort of contract or legal stuff should I have my artist sign for the designs? Well, you should first of all be getting with a contract lawyer. to come up with an agreement for you that you can use to give to those said artists. So that's generally what happens with stuff like that. You'd have them enter an agreement, again, a contract lawyer made so that all your bases are covered. They know immediately if they've been in the game at all, or if they know what they're doing. They'll know immediately what kind of contract that your services agreement that you're needing. So, Panic in Sky, follow with a 2, Doom, TDA, Captain America goes to hell. Okay.
Oh. Oh, well, yeah. Because the shield and shit. Yeah.
Mitchell Fields with a 5 says Doom Dark Ages isn't selling. Elden Ring Night Rank is going to be $39.99.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. Shout out Mitchell. People were claiming that physical copies of Doom were only key codes, and my disc said 100 gigabyte. Well, I think that's almost becoming a norm now.
Yeah.
With a lot of physical games, that's essentially what they are. It's like it has to download a bunch of shit. Pistol with a 2 says, Ripper, how did it feel to work with Longman? Oh man, it was good. Good dude. Came to us with an incredible pitch for this idea for his story, and Saskas were very much involved in that. So shout out to them. And yeah, he had a great pitch for us, broke everything down, and all we did was obviously make sure we got it cleaned up and ready to present in 15 pages. Or so, 16 actually, I think for his. But yeah, it was awesome to work with the dude. The guy has some creative chops, man. I can't wait for y'all to read Bone God, man, because I think his story is I think a lot of people are gonna want more from Ball. I think you're gonna want more
very different.
Yeah, it is. I think a lot of people are gonna like it. I'm pretty sure of it. I went on a shopping spree with that 60% code. Go for it. Yeah, a lot of people were asking about that. It was like, hey, with 60% code that we get, is there like a limit? And it's like, no. You know what I mean? Like, no. So obviously, for most people that have spent money, that more than covered whatever they would have spent on a new book. So Taker with a 5 says in the pitch meeting for Snow White Studios, it says, all right, time to tap into hardcore Snow White.
Yeah. Ryan
So
George
funny.
is great. I love his pitch meetings. He's very funny guy, very talented guy.
Freeman with his 8 says misprinted books are collectible because print run is pulped after the era is discovered. That's interesting. Says the entire print run has the error. It's not unique. I'm not sure where you got that information from. I was talking about this with Brandon Sanderson and some of like the first print of one of his books. Like it's actually, you can see the N is like not there on his name in that title page for whatever reason. A weird, like I think it's because of the foil, the way that thing was stamped on there. It's just not there for like the entire first runs. Not like that with the other ones. So the people that got the other ones, that's what they have. So yeah. Raptor with a 2 says 1 word, 4 letters. Yeet.
Yeet.
We got Having Nobody with a hey Manga with a 2 says, speaking of blockchain, BTC made new all-time highs. Thoughts? Hodl. That's those are my thoughts. Luke with a 2 says, should platform adventure games mascots come back?
I tell you what, Luke, after Expeditions 33 clearly showed how turn-based combat can easily operate in a current, modern game, not a modern audience, a modern game. I think maybe a few people might decide to look at some genres which were massive at one point. Remember, platformers were the fucking biggest thing in the late 90s, mid to late 90s. Huge thing. So yeah, maybe people go, hey, okay, let's look at how we can potentially bring a platformer and give it a good spin, a good twist, and get people interested in that again. You never know.
Yeah.
Or different. It might even just be a different genre. People go, hey, do you know what? Let's have a play.
Yeah. Panicking with a 2 says, I'm okay with enhancing games. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. All right. I believe that is going to wrap it up. As what you got for the rest of the week, man?
I would love to, like I said, I'd love to try and get back onto Oblivion. Somebody said that reduce your display down to off 4K. I got it at 2K, so I'll put it down to 1080. So I don't know if that's going to work, but definitely going to be doing some streaming one way or another. Definitely going to be doing some streaming. What I'm going to stream, not sure. FNT this Friday. The guest is me, even though I'm back as a full-time host for the foreseeable future. How long? Yeah, we'll see. Sunday afternoon tea with us, and Sunday fun day, and Tuesday real BBC on Gary's channel, and Wednesday Rip and the Silverback on my channel.
Yep.
Please go support Saints and Sinners if you haven't picked up a copy. Very excited about this book. Really excited for you to read the stories. I think you're gonna really fucking enjoy it. But yeah, these stories have been made for nothing but just to entertain you guys. So yeah, boy.
Well, for me, what else am I doing this week?
Oh, I might be doing something with you as well.
Oh yeah, we did. Yeah, that is true. We'll see about that. I was just getting asked about that. Well, obviously we got Rip the Silverback on Ash channel next week. Go get Saints and Sinners. I'm not sure. I do need to do a check-in stream on my channel. I'll do that at some point. I don't know. I just got a lot of catching up that I'm doing right now, especially with some of the print stuff that we're doing. Like my email is on fire right now during the stream. So I gotta attend to that, and I'll be tending to that to the rest of the week. But yes, go get Saints and Sinners, go get Yaira. Next week will be the final week for the Horsemen as well. So go grab those all. And yeah, that's about it for myself. But we'll see you next week on the Az's channel. I'm really stoked for the Elden Ring DLC stuff. I'm really excited about that. We'll talk about that as well. But I am gonna get out of here. I was gonna get out of here. We'll be back next week. I'm gonna eat some chicken. I have like a window in which I eat every day. And if I miss that window, I can no longer, I have to wait till the next day. That's my thing. Fasting. So yes, guys, I will see y'all next time. Y'all enjoy the rest of your week. Peace
Bye.
out. Y'all be easy.